My wife came out and left me years ago, and now she and her new wife are trying to convince me to let them adopt my son so they can have their perfect family. I, 35M, was married to my ex-wife, 34F, for 7 years. 2 years ago my ex-wife came out as lesbian. This came as a complete shock to me. She and her partner were co-workers who had an affair since she joined the company a year before our divorce. We have a son together, 8M. This whole thing came as a complete shock to me. I was heartbroken and devastated. I felt betrayed as I had spent 7 years of my life with this woman and it all felt like a lie now. When I confronted her she told me that she had to live her truth and that she tried to suppress her identity because she didn't come to terms with it till she met her partner. When I asked whether she loved me, she told me that while she loves me it's different than how she loved her new partner. This broke my heart even more as you can imagine. The divorce was quick as she did not want anything from me and we agreed to a 50-50 split of custody, but I decided to go no contact with her and handled the custody transfer process through my sister, 27F, whom I moved in with after the divorce. I sold the house and we mutually agreed that the excess money from the sale will be in a college fund for our son in the future. I could not bear to stay in that house anymore as it kept reminding me of her and what she did to me. For context, she introduced her partner as her work friend and I believed her. I had no reason to suspect anything and they had several girls' nights but I figured that they were probably using these as cover-ups for the affair. For 6 months I was in a depressive state because I didn't know where I went wrong. But this is one of those scenarios that anything I would have done wouldn't have been able to make it better. This made me even more depressed and the fact that all the vows and little things that she said at our wedding were all just lies trying to keep up a ruse made it even worse. The two people that got me through this state was my sister, whom I am eternally grateful for helping with her nephew and helping me while maintaining her career. The other person that got me through this was my college ex-girlfriend. Around 4 months after the divorce we reconnected at a reunion and she really helped through the worst of it as a friend. Around a year after the divorce, we started officially dating, and I introduced her to my son. During all this time my ex's partner had been having limited interactions with my son. This was not because of me saying anything but my ex-wife wanted him to adjust to his new reality. My son is in that weird age that he understands what's going on but he doesn't really understand what's actually going on. If you know you know. He understands that mommy has a girlfriend and that me and his mom are not together anymore. I'm pretty happy considering we didn't really talk to him about the LGBTQ+ stuff because we had decided that we can talk about this when he's a bit older, but I'm happy that he's come to terms with the divorce. Around 8 months ago, my ex said that she was officially moving in with her partner and that she was engaged. At this point I still was on no contact except brief conversations that concerned our son. She invited me to the wedding but I declined. They were planning to have a destination wedding in Spain where her girlfriend lives. She wanted to take our son to the wedding and he would have to miss school for a week since she wanted him to meet her girlfriend's family as well. I told her that missing school for a week does not make sense and that she should plan her wedding when he has vacation since she doesn't have a fixed date yet. She argued that most likely they won't have a date that will align with his vacations and that they are getting married as soon as possible. I relented and agreed since I didn't want to interact with her anymore and it was well within her rights to have her son at her wedding. The problem started when my son came back after the wedding. He was supposed to stay with me since we have a flexible week-in week-out custody arrangement. She wanted to take my son on her honeymoon so that he has a chance to bond with his new stepmother. I told her that she had already had 2 weeks with him since she had custody for a week before the wedding and that I wanted to spend some father-son time with him. I told her that it's well within my rights and that she should go spend some time with her new wife. She argued that since our son's interactions with her partner were limited because of her busy schedule, that this was a great opportunity for them to bond. I told her that she had 2 weeks for him to get to know her partner, but she said that they were busy with the wedding and did not have time. I told her that I had taken vacation days for us to go to a motorcycle expo and build a Lego set, 2 things that my son absolutely loves. She kept arguing and I finally told her that the custody was placed for a reason and that's the one thing I will not negotiate on. She got angry at me and left. Me and my son had a great time. I even got him one of those kid-sized motorcycles since he liked them so much. Over the next few weeks we returned back to our week-in and week-out routine. One day I find that my ex posted a photo shoot of them and my son under a caption of #lesbianmommies. I thought that it was post and it probably meant nothing, but it was showing them as a family and something about that did not sit right with me. When I got my son for the week I asked him that if his mom was saying anything to him. He relented a bit but told me that his mother had been trying to convince him to call her partner his mom. This was a shock to me as I never expected my ex to do this. Then again I've been wrong about these things before. I asked him if that's something he wanted and he told me that he is much more comfortable calling her by her first name and that he feels weird with calling 2 people mom. I told him it's okay and that he shouldn't feel pressured to do anything. I called my ex and asked her to meet up because this was serious and I wanted to discuss this. I confronted her about this and she told me that since her and her partner were married, it's only natural for our son to have 2 moms now. I told her that it's not okay for her to try and convince him into calling her partner his mom because she is not his mother, she doesn't have an active parenting role in his life and that any major parenting decisions require the 2 of us. She tried making an argument that since me and my girlfriend were becoming serious now and that eventually I might want him to start calling her mom. I told her even if we become serious I won't try and convince our son to start calling her mom, because he already has 2 parents and he doesn't need more. Then she dropped the bombshell on me. She told me that she and her partner were hoping that eventually down the line they can file for adoption. I'll still be able to visit and see my son but she wanted her and her wife to have legal guardianship because they wanted to build a new family with them. I told her absolutely not and that our partners have no say in our kids' lives. She accused me of being homophobic for denying her the right to a complete family and I told her while her life is her choice our son's life has to be a thing that we decide ourselves. I ended the conversation there and told my son to tell me if her mother tries to force him to do anything that he doesn't want to do. 3 weeks later I found out that my ex had enrolled him in Spanish lessons that he told me that he hated doing. For context, my ex is Latin and her partner is Spanish, so they are more comfortable talking to each other in Spanish. We made the decision to raise our son in English because it made sense at the time, as she speaks English better than Spanish and I don't speak any Spanish. When I discussed this, she told me that she would like her son to connect more to his heritage. I said that I don't have any problem with that, but we have tried this several times before when we were married and he had shown zero interest in it. She told me that this time might be different since he will have 2 Spanish speakers at home. I told her that I am in all favor of bilingualism because 2 languages are always an advantage, especially for kids, but if he doesn't want to do it, there is no reason to force him to do it. Maybe try another language? She then accuses me of denying our son his roots, and goes on a tirade of accusing me of denying our son his identity and coming back to me denying her right to a family. My girlfriend usually stays out of these matters, but she advised me to contact my lawyer and see what they can actually do. My lawyer told me that even if they send an adoption notice, I can contest it and it would take something exceptional like abandonment etc. for my contest to get rejected. My ex keeps posting our son as a part of her new family and it's honestly started to trigger me. 2 weeks ago I interacted for the first time with my ex's new wife after the divorce. She contacted me and asked to meet up. She told me that my ex had finally started to recover from the social trauma of coming out and building a new life with her and that I am now getting in the way of the happiness. She accused me of being emotionless and uncaring through our divorce and how I guilt-tripped her into agreeing to my demands of 50-50 custody, and how I should just agree to the eventual adoption in a few years because she has always wanted a son and that I will still remain my son's dad and I can still visit him. I told her that I don't care what her emotional state was during the divorce and that my demands were fair even to the most irrational person. I told her that if they want to create this image of a perfect family, then they should have another kid that has no connection to me. I feel like all this has started to affect my son more than anything. He is a lot less happier than he was just a few months ago as we had started to adjust to this new reality. For context, since I know this is going to come up eventually, the emotional trauma of my ex coming out, it is basically the fact that her family effectively disowned her after coming out. Her parents don't talk to her anymore, while my son has plenty of interactions with his maternal grandparents when he's with me. Those two combined make significantly more money than I do alone. However, my ex-wife makes less money than me, but her partner is in a senior position, so she has more stability. This is also an argument my ex-wife used when we discussed adoption, since they can then send our son to a private school and generally give him a better life. I don't know if this is a factor, but the recent elections may have caused this because they are worried that they might not be able to adopt soon. But they don't want to adopt my son now but in a few years, so I doubt this to be true. First update, next day. It's been crazy seeing everyone's reactions to the situation and I wanted to share a quick update with you all. First of all, I'd like to clarify that my son and I have been going to therapy since the divorce. He was doing quite well until the whole mom saga happened. My in-laws disowned her after she came out. They were not even aware about the affair when she came out to them. They still spend time with my grandson under the condition that they don't badmouth my ex and don't preach their views to him. They agreed and said that they valued a relationship with their grandson over any political view they might hold. I have been a part of every interaction that they have had with him because I was worried they might say something. Thankfully, this has not been the case. Her extended family has said to me that they have all cut her off as well, some for the affair and some for her being gay. Our mutual friends also cut her off because of the affair. All our mutual friends were my work buddies and their spouses and partners. I did not ask them to do anything, they came to the decision on their own. I was actually glad when she told me that she had made a friend on her own, as she used to complain about not liking her colleagues. We all know how that turned out. I'm pretty sure they're not planning to skip the country. I have all my son's documents and we decided it during the divorce because she was still figuring out where to go, and since I was moving in with my sister, the chances of them getting misplaced were low. I have also had no demands for any documents and she returned the passport to me when we came back. The whole adoption thing probably stems from the fact that my son has a very close relationship with his mother. The only times he has really complained to me is when she asked him to call her partner mom and that she was making him do Spanish classes that he did not want. We did everything for him equally during our marriage, but I had to travel out of state to my parents frequently during COVID because they were sick with pre-existing conditions and couldn't take care of themselves. My sister was on an assignment abroad at that time. My sister also agreed with this. Please let me know your thoughts. I listened to people and contacted my lawyer, who is also my friend, this morning. He told me the same thing as last time and that it would take something really unusual for the adoption process to go through like child abandonment. He also said that there are a bunch of idiots that have no idea how the law worked. He also told me that if the whole "we want to adopt him" is a real thing and if she is talking crap about me to my son and I could prove it, I could get custody. This has not been the case, as I've not heard my son say that his mom says bad things about me. This brought me a sigh of relief. I plan to contact my ex today with the following conditions. 1. We both install parenting apps and document all interactions. 2. No more mention to me or my son regarding adoption or calling her partner mom. 3. No more posting images of my son as a part of their perfect queer family because frankly, I don't want my son's photos on the internet when he is so young and he can decide what he wants when he is older. I plan to talk to my ex in a couple of hours. Please let me know what you think about this. Second update, next day. Hi all, so I talked to my ex today. She was busy yesterday and I wanted some more time to gather my thoughts. When we met, I put forth my demands. She told me that the parenting app idea seems fine and that she has no problem with it. She got sad when I told her to drop the idea of adoption and calling her partner mom, as it's just not gonna happen. She told me that her family was pressuring her to settle down. I proposed after a year of dating and I did not know this, and getting pregnant so soon after getting married was not what she had in mind. She got pregnant 1.5 years after getting married. Is that soon? I don't know. She told me that she was in the closet all her life because of her parents and that she thought marrying me would cause her feelings to subside and that she was happy until she met her partner. She did go through postpartum depression after giving birth, but I did not know that she didn't want to get pregnant so soon. She then told me that her wife and her, that the reason they wanted to adopt my son was because she wanted to start new. She then said that she was never really happy during our marriage and that with her new wife she could have the family she always dreamed of having. She didn't want my son to grow up to resent her for being a lesbian, as he doesn't have either any exposure to people like her apart from her and her partner. Look, I have to be honest here. I don't know any gay people, nor anyone in my friends or family is gay. We never talked about these things because it simply doesn't come up in our daily life, but that doesn't mean me and my son have no idea who they are, especially after the divorce. I told her that this is not going to happen and that he has had a lot of exposure to people from her community. I told her that seems like a bull crap reason for separating my son and me and that she is making up some random reason to make her seem like it is. After some arguing, she told me the real reason why she and her partner want to adopt my son. By the way, Reddit is crazy for their prediction abilities, like honestly, wow. Apparently they wanted to adopt my son because her wife and her are considering moving to Spain in a few years. I told her that she can't do that and that the legal framework supports me and my rights in both countries. She told me she knew this and that's why they wanted to get me to sign adoption. I told her that she was crazy, that she in no way is able to do this, as she still need my permission to take him out of the country as when she did when they got married in Spain. I also read a comment yesterday on the update and researched a bit on the laws regarding this, so I know this is not happening. She told me again that they have done their research, that this was to see if I would agree. In case I agreed they would consider moving, and in case I don't they won't, because she doesn't want to be separated from my son. I again emphasized that this is not going to happen and that if she tries anything or says anything to my son, I will sue for full custody. She got sad again and told me that they wanted to check with me first. I told her, in what world would you expect me to give you and your wife full custody? First you divorce me, leave for me a woman, and then expect me to sign over my child and act like nothing happened. I told her from this point on we will document everything, every interaction we have, and that if I even get a whiff of you trying to pull something I will sue for full custody. She got a bit scared at the idea of losing full custody. I guess she didn't really consider me doing that and she agreed. I then told her not to paint this picture of a picture-perfect queer family that they are trying to do, because that is not going to happen. Our son has a mom and a dad that he spends half his time each with, not two moms. He is not your affair partner's son. He is your son and mine. If you want a child with her you can do so on your own. I then told her that the courts are more likely to side with me than you in this case because of the thing you have been trying to do and the fact that I work from home and spend more actual time with him than you and your wife. I have been trying for him to have a stable relationship with both parents since the divorce because I don't want him to resent either of us. But if you try to remove me from his life, I will sue for full custody and deal with any resentment he has for either for us. I didn't want to argue anymore and I left the room. I secretly recorded the conversation because I wanted to have proof in case anything happens in the future. Honestly, Reddit, I have been very angry at my ex since the divorce. I have not shown it around her and my son because I don't want her to use this against me in any way and have been going to therapy, but I am still internally angry. The comment she made today about our marriage really hurt me even more. I have spent 7 years with this woman and her betrayal still makes me angry to this day. When I got home, I contacted my lawyer friend and he again reiterated that they would have to kidnap him. I asked him if there was anything else we could do and he said that the current agreement is very thorough. We have made sure of that. If I want full custody or not is up to me, but I have to be sure that I want to put me or my son through the whole process. I don't want my son to grow up without either of his parents, as that is just not healthy for him. That is why I won't sue for full custody now. If they are stupid enough to kidnap him, I'm sure they are not, then the law sides with me anyway. I know what position her partner is at their workplace, so I know they are making good money to leave it all behind for no good reason. As for the passport thing, I have all his documents and all things such as notifying travel, hospital visits, and others are already in the signed custody agreement. We already have a legal framework for all this. I am not going to sue for full custody now because I don't want that for my son. My ex-wife is still good mother and loves him and he enjoys spending time with her. Plus my son is the type of person to openly voice out what he doesn't find okay to me. So I will know if they continue any of their nonsense. On a more positive note, y'all, I'm not against Spanish lessons, but he doesn't like them. I was just suggesting that he try some language he like. There are other languages out there. I didn't say it to my ex then, but now I know that she was trying for him to learn Spanish because of the Spain thing. Thank you to everyone for their support. Really helped me with understanding the problem. Holy crap though, I didn't even consider her considering moving to Spain until I read the comments. Y'all are great at this. I confessed my feelings to my friend years ago and got rejected, but now she's confessed her love for me after a toxic relationship, and I'm not sure if I can feel the same way. I, 30M, met my friend Jean, 28F, 3 years ago at a rec soccer league and I was pretty infatuated with her from the beginning. Another guy in the league, lawyer dude, 30M, also liked her and part of the same group of friends we got together at this league. After over a year our friendships deepened and I honestly fell more in love with her too. I was hesitant about damaging our friendship but came clean and asked her if she wanted to explore something more. She told me she loved me as a friend but not into me like that since she didn't want to get in a relationship at the time. So even though my heart was broken I moved on. Less than 2 months later she starts dating lawyer dude and became clear to me she wasn't necessarily avoiding relationships but just didn't want me lol. I think all my romantic feelings for her ended right that moment since I'm the type of person that wants the same excitement and feelings for a partner that I give to her. No big deal, was honestly happy for her. We were still good friends but I left the league because my professional life picked up since I was promoted to CFO for my company and I just didn't have the time for it. We still joked and texted all the time, and Jean and lawyer dude even came out with me, my friends, and sister to party and have some nights out. Jean even became good friends with my sister, which I was happy to see because I'm happy to see my sister surround herself with great people. A few months ago, Jean and lawyer dude broke up, which came as a surprise to everyone because they seemed great together. I'm finding out in the past several weeks from Jean and my sister that lawyer dude was abusive and have been emotionally, psychologically, and even physically abusing her. It picked up in the last few months of their relationship, almost the entire time they were together. She even had pictures of the bruises on her body and everything. I feel terrible for her, and she's been spending more time with us, and I think she's well on the path to recovery. She should probably see a therapist or something to confirm that. Last weekend, we were drinking some wine in my kitchen goofing around. She's teasing me about the last few girlfriends I've showed her and even doing an impression of some. We're in New York City and dating, and people can just be weird here lol. I was pretty tipsy and my kitchen is tiny, Manhattan apartment, and I'm pretty sure she initiated a kiss. We kissed for maybe 7 to 10 seconds before I put a stop to it and try to defuse the situation, joking about how strong the wine is. She agrees, laughs about it, and goes home. Early the next morning she's at my doorstep and wants to talk. She said she's in love with me and we can start what we should have started when I confessed to her years ago. I told her I love her as a friend, but I don't see her romantically like that and it wouldn't be a good idea. She seemed incredibly hurt and asked if it's because I rejected her, and I told her it wasn't, but I don't think she believed me. To be honest, it probably is the reason. As I mentioned earlier, unless someone is as golden lab excited about me as I'm into them, I lose interest in them romantically. I probably have issues, but that's just how I am. But in no way am I trying to purposely punish her. Now even my sister is texting me and giving me a hard time because she sees it as her friend who was manipulated into a relationship when she wasn't ready for it by a narcissist and then abused. She's accusing me of being vengeful and petty with someone who's my soulmate because she got manipulated into a relationship and chose someone else over me. My sister has also dated some big jerks in the past, so I think she's just seeing it from Jean's perspective, which I don't fault her for. I reached out to Jean to see if she's okay, but she said she needs time and it's possible we should never see each other again. I think this is super hypocritical since I continued to be a good friend when she rejected me. I don't know what to do here. I truly do love her platonically. Should I try to explore if there's romantic potential here? I'm about to lose a friend and also potentially ruin my close relationship with my sister. First update, 2 weeks later, had some people messaging me asking for an update that I've mostly ignored, but I wanted to provide an update today. I had brunch with my sister the day after the first thread went up. I actually showed her the thread and she spent half of our meal reading through it. She actually agreed it's not her place to butt in and apologized about making this situation more difficult for me. She said she's gonna be on my side and I can count on her going forward. She also actually agreed with a lot of the posts that I should probably take a clean break or at the very least some serious distance between Jean and myself. So that's what I've been doing, until last night. Went to a party in Brooklyn last night for a friend's birthday and took an Uber back home to Lower Manhattan. Around midnight my front desk calls asking if they should let a Jean up. I'm confused and say yes. She comes up and she's looking much happier and healthier than I've seen her in months. She hugs me and said she misses me and if we can just talk and hang out. Said she saw me in the party earlier that night on Instagram and our mutual friend that was there said I left early so she came over. I've been drinking so I guess it's less awkward, so we just start talking like old times about what we've been up to the last week and everything crazy that's going on in the world over some beers. We're in my godforsaken tiny kitchen again and she kisses me. I don't stop her this time and she ended up spending the night. Waking up this morning, I didn't and still don't know what to think. Left while she was still sleeping to pick up some coffee. When I'm back I hear the shower, so I sit on the bed and wait for her with the coffee. When she got out she realized I wanted to talk about last night, so she asked if she could talk first. She said she knows I'm confused, knows how it feels like I'm her backup, knows how it feels like I'm the rebound, but none of that is true and she loves me and wants to do whatever necessary to prove it and make it work. I told her I'm feeling confused about the situation and don't feel the same type of love for her that she thinks she feels for me. She started crying and asking if she can do anything to prove it to me, so I told her I think it's best if we take some time apart to do our own thing and let all these high emotions settle down. And if necessary we can pick up this discussion with a cooler heads and maybe even become friends again. She cried some more and agreed. Left a few hours ago and I'm still feeling kind of shell-shocked over the whole thing and have been just pacing around my apartment. I think I made the right decision about taking a clean break for now. Anyways, I appreciate all the great advice last time, so thanks you guys. Final update, 1 month later, had some time and a lot has happened unfortunately, so I figured I'd provide an update since you guys provided some good advice I didn't recognize as such last time. I went straight no contact after Jean went home after our night together. Only contact we had was via text when she asked 2 days later if she could come over so we can talk, and I told her I didn't think that was a good idea and I thought it was best we spent time apart for the foreseeable future. Got a few more texts saying she understood, then how good we'd be together, and then finally how I'm making a mistake. I ignored all of it until it stopped a week into it. At this point I sadly accepted the reality that we probably could never be friends and was fine with it. We both move on and hopefully find happiness somewhere else. I mentioned before I'm the CFO for my company. For the last year we've been finalizing closing a deal with another major company, and obviously because of all these global macro events it's made things a lot more complicated. I have incredibly strong feelings for the legal counsel, LC, for this company I've been working with. She's drop dead gorgeous, smart as a whip, and an insanely tough and strong-willed woman. I tried once several months ago to ask her out, but she saw my attempt from a mile away and rightfully let me know it was hugely inappropriate for us to start a relationship because of the deal we were working with. I agreed, and although I've dated plenty the last year, I've been pining after her this entire time. 2 weeks ago the deal was officially finalized. I'm not kidding when I say this, literally less than 60 seconds after the deal was announced I asked her out, and thank goodness she accepted. The date was incredible. She told me how difficult it's been the last several months working so closely with me when we had such strong feelings for each other. Just like how so many of my friends know about her, she's also told her friends about me. Spent the entire evening talking about how excited we finally are, and then she came home with me. Now I have no idea how, but Jean found out. She messaged her 2 days later on LinkedIn asking to talk. Legal counsel thought Jean was an annoying recruiter or saleswoman at first, and then Jean mentioned she knows about us seeing each other. Jean told legal counsel that she and I were in a complicated and bumpy phase in our relationship. When legal counsel didn't respond, Jean mentioned how I manipulate and use women. How I'm a serial dater and only chase women, and if a girl has feelings I hurt them instead. Legal counsel was freaked out about this. The next day she asked me for coffee and showed me all of this. Said she likes me but she really doesn't want to get involved in any drama, maybe we shouldn't see each other. I had to beg her to give me a chance. I told her our entire history, and thank God I actually wrote it down in the previous post, so I showed those to her too. She agreed to give us a chance, but I can see she's shaken up with all of this. I'm infuriated. I honestly don't know what to do. I've never been a vengeful and hurtful person, but I'm really tempted to call Jean and say some incredibly hurtful things to her. Legal counsel and I have blocked her in all mediums of communication. I made my sister do the same, who's also freaked out by how Jean is behaving. This is probably and hopefully the final update. I'm kind of upset that so many of you told me how manipulative and potentially dangerous Jean was, and I completely ignored it. I've learned my lesson now though, and will act accordingly if I have to interact with Jean again. I honestly think going through an abusive relationship taught her some incredibly toxic things. I'm angry with her, but I know in my heart she wasn't always like this.